Hey Starfinders, it's me, your boy, GM Logar, Logar the Ogar, Mike Logan, Starfinder Infinite creator, design dash champion, and unofficial PAX Unplugged superstar. A campaign like Dead Suns can take years to complete, even if you're not recording it. That's why the crew and I have recorded another recap video detailing the last arc of our adventure in preparation for the next arc of our adventure. Today, we're giving you The Ruined Clouds, which is book 4 of the Dead Suns adventure path. We only have 2 left, books 5 and 6. The other 3 books were also uploaded as recap videos, and you can find them in the playlist called Dead Suns Abridged. Later this week, look out for another video, 2 videos in 1 week. I know, I'm crushing it. Detailing Dead Sundays Enhanced, which is going to be the next phase of Dead Sundays, as well as February 4th, which will be the first episode of Dead Sundays Enhanced. It'll be episode 1. We're back to 1, baby. We're going to record on Sundays and upload on Wednesdays, and you're always welcome to catch us on a Sunday. Come into the YouTube channel, come into the Twitch chat, ask us questions about the game, ask us questions about the adventure so far, about the characters, whatever you want. But in order to do that, you'll have to subscribe to this channel. Yeah, I got you. You have to like this video, and you also have to comment what your favorite type of pie is. I don't really care. I mean, I care what your favorite is, but I don't really care about the very strict definition of pie. So you say whatever you want, whatever comes to your heart. And then what I want you to do is I want you to go to your favorite strip mall that you used to hang out with. You know the one, and put on your Dead Sundays best, and then I want you to take shoe polish and scrawl on a sheet in front of it that says, yes, I assure you, we are youtube.com/@deadsundays, and then the world will simply fall into place.
History is broken. All recorded knowledge more than 300 years old has been corrupted. The Starfinder Society is recruiting outsiders to unravel the mysteries of what happened. Unlikely heroes must learn to work together to stay alive, where technology and magic exist together among the stars. Dead Sundays, most Sundays at 7 p.m. Only on twitch.tv/LogarTheOgar. The past haunts us all.
Okay, so that's good that we started out. Hi, welcome to Dead Sundays. Dead Sundays is the show where we play Starfinder on a Sunday. Except for today, again, for the 3rd time in the row. We are actually not playing Starfinder today. We are discussing Starfinder. We are going to go back over the last 6 or 7 months of gameplay, and we are going to recap the events of the lost, forgotten, fallen city of Istamak. I would like to, because I just saw Ryan speaking in the beginning, and Ryan, you were blowing it out. So if we could do that thing that I know that you love to do, and
roll call.
We'll call it roll call. It's cute that way. We're gonna go in a random order. I'll call out each person before I want you to do it. And what I want you to do is I want you to say your name and your character and what your character does. And then I will make sure that you are not too loud or too low for the audience to hear you. And audience, while you're listening, please feel free to type in the chat, hey, this is unlistenable. I would appreciate it if you could tell me, because I remember like
you're talking about the audio, not the content.
The audio, no,
right?
the content. Listen, we're never going to get over that hump. Okay, we're committed, you know. But the first episode that we did, it was almost unlistenable when I went back and listened to it. But we had people chatting with us, and I don't understand how that was possible. So we're gonna go in random order. I'm just gonna pick somebody at random. Beck, could you go first and tell me who?
Oh, random.
Random except for Beck.
Except for Beck. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Beck. I play Clara 247, part operative, part precog, all homicidal maniac.
That's okay. Hold on.
What?
That's not entirely. That's pretty. That's okay. Yeah. Randomly, Ryan, could you go next?
Hi, I'm Ryan. I play Pax Duro, a man who's decided to bring a sword to a laser gun fight.
Every time.
And won.
Every time.
Every time.
And he won.
Any sword, any laser fight. Steph, you go next.
Hi, I'm Steph. I play Zib Beveridge, the spaceship captain, and your new favorite war criminal.
Yep. Perfect. Ian, could you go ahead?
Hey, what's up? I'm Ian. I play Horatio Cruz, who is a student of the Arcanumerium and more or less the ship's science officer / engineer.
Yeah, so currently the ship has a trifecta of geniuses on the ship right now. We have Horatio Raj Cruz, who is a graduate from the Arcana Miriam, a technomancer. We have the Dickensian bone boy Jimothy, who we'll learn more about later, who is both he is all three a computer genius, an engineering genius, and also a medical genius in both the fields of living and unliving. And then there's Shepard, who is the ship. So he's good at he knows what he wants.
You know, you don't really think about, if you don't really like bring that to light on say like Star Trek, of just how smart everybody has to be to like, be like there's like galaxy brain engineers and scientists and medical officers and things like that on Star Trek all the time, and it's never really
right, because that's the fantasy. The fantasy is that we are smart enough to go on a spaceship, when in reality, most of us would just be loading the space boxes at the space station. Yeah. We would just be doing the same job we're doing now with gravity boots. That's it.
And universal basic income, but
yes. And universal basic income, right? But that's listen, that's mostly fantasy too. It's yeah. Come on, let's keep it grounded. Put your boots on. Okay. I am going to put on some, just general ruined city background music. This isn't going to be a bit. It's really going to be the thing. Okay. Hopefully that worked. I don't know. Do you guys hear it? Yeah, it's coming. Okay, great. Because we use Sirenscape, it does take a couple minutes for the background music to kind of build and cycle through, because it is a dynamic sound generator. So
there it is. Before we start,
do you guys have any questions or anything specific that you want to bring up before we go over everything that we did in the last 6 or 7 months?
I was gonna say a ghost Pirate Borg was a lot of fun last week.
Okay, hold on. Very good point. Let me pull that back a little bit. Is there anything that you want to specifically bring up before we talk about Book 4, The Ruined Clouds of the Dead Sun's Adventure Path?
Is anyone a little sad that we never got to throw anyone into the gas giant? Like, I was really hoping we'd get to throw someone into the planet.
Yeah,
and it never happened.
And yeah, I'm sorry that I didn't set up a horrible death for anybody. You can, I guess you can do it on your own time. I don't know. Next season, who knows? You want to come in really hot? Go for it.
Yeah, just please let Pax Sparta kick someone into a gas giant.
The one thing that we did talk about was that the gas giant was large enough that if any of you did fall in there, it was so big that you could have mounted a rescue. You would fall for long enough that you could have taken the Spacewave Maiden and gone down and caught the person, theoretically, before they entered the whatever, the solid hydrogen layer or whatever is the core of a gas giant. Ryan, tell us.
Iron.
Thank you, Ryan.
It's iron core.
So,
it's pronounced armored core.
It's pronounced Armor Core 6.
Fires of Rubicon.
You gotta really,
Where did this season start? What is this book? What did we do?
So, that's a great question.
This is why I botched the C-3PO episode, because I can't remember more than a week.
So I prepared for that, and I also there was a recap episode that was built into this book, and I did not post it to YouTube. I cut it out of our live recording before I posted it, because I just felt it wasn't really that important, because we were going to do this episode anyway. So if you go back and watch those episodes, there is a point where everybody gathers around the fire to have Zib tell them a story about the great things that they did, and these are all of the great things that they did. So you can input that into that scene. This adventure started in the last book that we finished, obviously. In book 3, you guys finished Eox, and you had found out that the galactic superweapon that you were searching for, in order to keep it out of both the cultists of the Devourer and the corpse fleet, hands. The Corpse Fleet being the rogue Eoxian navy that believes in undead supremacy, and the Devourer cultists being a doomsday cult that have access to just everything. They are both searching for this galactic superweapon, and you are always kind of slightly behind. You are grasping at coattails. You are finding remnants of people that had been there before you, and it led you to a comet, which led you to Eox, which eventually led you to a system that had been unexplored before, called Negior. Once you got to Negior, you explored the system and found a planet to land on. However, once you left Eox and were in the drift, flying to what you would learn to be was Negior, you had an encounter with the Islanti Star Empire. The Islanti Star Empire, is the group of Islantians from Pathfinder lore that had escaped Galarian a long time ago and had started off some sort of very strict space fascism society somewhere else in the galaxy. And while there has been no like open conflict between the two places, the Pact Worlds and the Islanti Star Empire, there is always the presence of the other one.
Right.
So when they saw you, they were like, oh, we're going to blow you up. And you guys decided, no, we shall not do that. However, right before that happened, somebody put a data disk back into the spaceship that you guys pilot called the Spacewave Maiden. And when you did that, the AI consciousness of Shepard was reloaded into the ship, as well as a spell was released that summoned Dickensian Bone Boy Jimothy Tibula, a big fan of Zib Beveridge, in order for him to be on the ship as a member of your crew. It is unclear how Jimothy pulled this off, because it was a self-summoning spell that went off while you were traveling through another dimension, the drift dimension, and nobody really knows how that happened. It's almost like somebody needed it to happen.
We never questioned him more.
No,
he just said, "Hey, I just did this."
Yeah, and when you asked him, I'm pretty sure he said, "Yeah, I don't think I could do it again," and then that was it.
My head
Magic,
canon,
baby.
yeah, my headcanon is back on Eox. Jimothy's still there, wondering when this will function, and we just have a completely separate copy of Jimothy.
Oh my god!
Or we just have his skeleton.
We have no. We have a Jimothy Soma copy, correct? So he joined your crew. Jimothy Tibula in episode 2, I believe, explains his backstory and stuff. He is a Dickensian bone boy. He was very sick. His father, who had been working to pay off the undeath that he was going to get for his indentured servitude, decided to use that gift to have Jimothy outlive him. Jimothy is forever a child because he obviously can't grow now because he's a skeleton. But he's been a skeleton for a very long time. So when he was on Eox, he took every possible college course that he could. Now he's a genius, and he is with you guys, for better or worse, all the time. So that happens. And then immediately, the Islanti Star Empire comes out of a thundercloud inside the drift and attacks you. It went well, I think.
We're not dead.
Yeah, obviously you guys didn't die.
The campaign ended. I don't know why we're recapping.
Yeah, what have we been doing for 7 months? When you were on Eox, as a reward, the Eoxians upgraded your ship for you. As a Starfinder mechanically, as a party levels, the tier of the spaceship is always equal to the average party level. Now, luckily for you guys, we don't do experience, so you're always the same level. But when that happens, you just kind of automatically gain build points. So I just spent them for you. A lot of what we got was bigger armor, bigger shields, and then I found out that you can just like strap 2 guns together into 1 gun, and then it's a double gun, and you can just put that 7 times on the ship, and it's great. So you guys kick the shit out of the Islanti Star Empire, and they decide that instead of surrendering, they are going to ram you and then activate their self-destruct.
Mhm.
which they do. And we faded to black, and then we came back in the next episode, and everybody was fine. We faded to black because I didn't know what happens when a ship purposefully explodes next to another ship, because Starfinder has a rule for every single scenario. So I cannot possibly know all of them, so we had to stop. Unfortunately, once you got to the place that you were going, you had no real direction. You fought the Islandi Star Empire, you fell out of hyperspace, you scanned the system around you, and once you found a place that looked like it might be inhabited, you started orbiting it. It was Nezure 6, a gas giant. You found an area that looked like it could be a city, but it had all of the tells of a technologically advanced city. It had Wi-Fi signals, it had power signatures, but Wi-Fi signals, space Wi-Fi, whatever it would be in the future. Not like real Wi-Fi. But they were all erratic and sparse and irregular, which was very odd. And by the time you guys got to the city looking for a place to land, you realized that this technologically advanced city had been in decay for the last 1,000 or so years. So upon your arrival, you don't really know what you're doing. You know that you are here to search for information about the Stellar Degenerator. You know that the Cult of the Devourer was here before you. This is the coordinates that they went to by the time you caught up with them. When you got there, you landed on this emerald green landing pad. Is this it? No.
No, that's our ship.
That's the ship. This is it.
Hey, you left our cool graffiti on there too.
You're legally... Yeah, I ran this through an AI so that it wouldn't be copyright infringement, but that is legally distinct Peter Griffin. His name is Pitario. Yeah, that's what it is. It's Pitario.
Cool.
Cool. Nice.
Sick.
When you landed at the Emerald landing pad, you unfortunately immediately were greeted by a group of, I don't want to call them aliens because you were they're not the aliens, but they were a group of strange looking people, a group of unknown peoples that crawled out from underneath this landing pad made of a very tough crystal and immediately attacked you. You tried to communicate with them, however, you had never met them before, and that would have been impossible. You tried your best, and it did not work, and that's okay.
We use the universal language of violence.
Yes.
Yeah.
To communicate with
Well,
them.
they
Started it by throwing rocks at us, so we retaliated with high-powered energy weapons.
much heavier and more high velocity rocks.
Yeah. Bigger, better rocks. Mm-hmm. So you learned very quickly that the either the people in this place were throwing rocks at you while you were shooting back laser beams, which was not immediately apparent because they just kind of jumped out and attacked you, and you're from space. You expect everybody to have a laser gun. So by the time you realized that they were shooting regular bows and arrows at you, they had already taken heavy casualties and fucked off.
Just real quick question, because I don't actually know this from everyone's backstory. Is anyone actually from space? Like, Pax is from Vesk 3. That's a world.
I think the closest would be Raj, honestly, because I was born on the Galarian.
Species that
Okay,
just
time out.
basically
Time
hangs
out.
out in the diaspora. They're like little butterfly people.
Yeah.
You weren't born on Galarian. You were born on Absalom Station.
Absalom Station, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah.
That's
huge glaze over that plot hole.
You're a spacer, though, so
Yeah.
that's for sure. Okay.
I don't know. Where is Zib from? Did we ever
forgot.
think about it? What?
Yeah, it's on the character sheet. I don't remember.
Zib didn't exist before Zib got their social media account.
Wherever Zib was born, they now exist on the internet.
So you meet these people, and they don't speak Galactic Basic or whatever we're calling it. They run away, and you're very confused as you're expecting a very advanced city, and you're seeing the remnants of a very advanced city, and you're also walking around completely in the dark. You have no idea what you're even supposed to be looking for. One of the things you did notice when you were on the landing pad, however, was that there was a group of scorch marks that was the telltale sign of one of the overpowered, dirty engines that the cultist devourer uses on their ship.
Right.
That let you know at least that you were heading in the right direction. After exploring a little bit, you met another group of Kish, except that this time the group of Kish were fighting another group of Kish, and there was a clear distinction between the two of them. The Kish on the right were dressed in purple, and the Kish on the left were dressed in no distinct markings or anything. You let them fight it out for a couple minutes, and then once both sides started to take actual damage, you stepped in between them and stopped it. I think Zib walked out and fired their sonic pistol, making a very big boom and scaring the shit out of all of them because they did not know what that was. And then
that's
you guys.
called diplomacy.
Anybody else want to negotiate? And then you guys did something that I thought was very good and amazing, and I was very proud of you guys. You had. You're welcome. You then were able to have a second chance at first contact.
Mhm.
Taking a creative use of your abilities that are very mechanical, and what I mean by that is like you role played abilities that give you +1s. So it's a hard translation sometimes. You were able to convince the purple Kish that you were not hostile, and then you managed to convince them that you were at least almost friendly. You did this by picking up a magical medical device and using it on one of their dying friends. They recognized it as a stabilizer, and when they did that, they realized that you really were trying to help. Zib had taken a night class from Castrovel, gaining a feat that allowed them to use diplomacy without sharing a language, which was incredibly important. And Pax has a Xenoseeker ability called Pigeon Language, and after, in that order, those three things happened, Pax was able to establish basic communications with at least one person. Clara was also there, making sure that nobody needed to get shot, because that was a very important job.
It's true. I'm really good at it.
Clara is not a people person, more so when those people do not speak the same language.
Clara is an artist.
Yeah.
They paint with brains.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the first things Clara did before Beck decided to play Clara was explode the head of a space goblin.
Yeah.
In the asteroid. Yeah.
Actually, I think the first thing Clara did beforehand was lose in a space battle.
Yeah. Actually, yeah.
It was 3 against 1.
No.
Each of us had a ship, Clara.
No, it was 1-on-1, but it was a very poor 1-on-1. For those who don't know, in the first book of Dead Sons, the incident at Absalom Station, there is an NPC named Clara 247, and they are a mercenary, and they attacked the group in a starship battle, lost, landed on the asteroid that they were trying to get to, decided to fight them again, lost again, and then ran away, only to come back at the last minute to sort of help them. And then once that happened, and I invited Beck to be on the show, Beck was like, well, why don't I just play Clara? And I said, that's perfect. And now Clara is now Clara has time powers. You know how that goes.
And nobody holds any of the murder attempts against Clara. We are all hunky-dory best friends.
Yeah, everything's
Absolutely.
good. Everything's
Yeah,
good.
really cool. Let's
We're
go
all
for
buds.
Yeah.
Which goblin was that? Was that Zib 3 or was that Bill?
Zib
Bill-
3.
Peepoo?
It was Peepo, yeah. Zib 3 was the last
Peepo.
one. Yeah.
Okay.
I have their names written down. Hold up, I got to scroll back in my notes.
because that was
You guys
when
take notes?
Oh,
That was-
not anymore. I
Yeah, we
did
don't-
for all of season 1.
it's funny because we finished season 1. It's like, hey, remember all those things you paid attention to? None of them
No.
matter.
Nope.
None of them matter. So after
Rick's Peepo, Boblin, which we called Rico or Zib 3.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And he
Peepo
was-
was the one who died.
Yeah, Boblin was the last one. He was Zib 3. He was the one that made it the furthest. And he had a climactic ending when he stepped out to protect somebody and he said, by the way, you never asked my name. And then you guys said nothing, which was hilarious. And then I said, my name's Boblin. And you guys said nothing. And then he
Oh,
died.
Okay, Rico.
Okay, Zib 3, you fucking weirdo. So you establish communications, however rudimentary, with these new people who call themselves the Kish. By gaining that group's trust, you eventually were able to gain the trust of a prominent figure in the Kish community named Harold Zale. And Harold Zale explained to you guys that there was an offshoot of the main Kish community who were followers of Talavet, who is the you guys recognize as one of the gods also worshipped in the Pack Worlds, who is the god of stories. And once Talavet reached out to Zale, they started thinking a little bit differently about things, and after the events of the Cultist Devourer visitation, the Kish had a schism, and now some of the Kish, the ones that follow Harold Zale, were living in this place called the Cloudside Community Center. When asked about the cultists and their actions before you guys got there, Harold Zale explained that they had come from the sky in metal clouds and landed and explored the area. They had been initially neutral enough to gain entry into some of the Kish's holy places. One of the tenets of the Kish community was sharing everything that they had. There are people who have evolved over the last 1,000 years in the remnants of a decaying society, and the only way that they could have done so is with that community and that prominent sharing ability and personality. Unfortunately, what this meant was that when the cultists got here, they went into the deepest reaches of a place called the Temple Found and gained some sort of information that caused the cultists to decide that they were done on wherever this was. They turned around and killed every person that had helped them find the Temple Found and then left. After that, the chieftain leader of the Kish decided to close off all of Istamak, which is the city that you guys are in, from anybody who was not Kish, and delivered a kill-on-sight order to anybody else that would land, explaining why, when you guys landed at the Emerald landing pad, you were immediately attacked. Harold Zale, however, felt that they should keep their openness alive, and that it is the best way to honor their ancestors. And because of that, she and her people were exiled. There was a second in command to Chieftain Hoifek, whose name was Huntsman Zavra. And after these cultists' attacks, Huntsman Zavra took some of his men and barred himself inside the Temple Found, activating the hyper-advanced futuristic security protocols that locked the entire building down. There was no way in or out until Huntsman Zavra decided that it was time to do so. So you learned that you needed to get to the Temple Found, and that there was a schism in the Kish community. Two very important pieces of information, because you couldn't just go to Chieftain Hoifek and say, hey, can we get into this thing? because even if you did, Huntsman Zavra never would have let you in anyway. And you learned that there may have been, in the teachings of the ancestors, a back door into the temple found. And by exploring some of the holy places that the Kish revere, you guys could have possibly gained entrance into the temple found. So with her blessing, at one point I did forget to mention, you guys, once you got to the community center and you met Harold Zale, she consistently was casting share language on you guys. She was a mystic that she had that access to that power so that you guys could communicate. It usually only lasted a day, but you guys were usually only gone a day, so it didn't really matter. The two places that she wanted you to go were called the House of Renewal and the Maze of Ghosts. Additionally, now, I don't think I ever told you guys this, there was a list of random encounters that you guys could have done while walking from one place to the other. I took that part out because because I wanted to, and it was mostly because I felt that they were more of an interruption to what we were doing than they were going to be fun little offshoot adventures. I felt that exploring a city filled with people who revered the people that used to live there 1,000 years ago, while the people from 1,000 years ago were as scientifically advanced, maybe more so, as the society that you guys are from. I thought that was way more interesting and important than fighting a more Kish scouts.
Yeah.
The reason that these encounters are in here, obviously, is to give the option of a sandbox exploration to Istamak, and to give real XP values in case you're using experience to balance out anything that you guys might have missed.
Yeah. Also, whenever you get a group of people who are get analysis paralysis, it always helps to have something to just attack them to get their asses moving again.
Right. So, I took those out. You guys missed something called a sharp wing, and
Sharp wing. Never mind.
And a Kish scout, and a couple of more Kish, which you guys would have demolished because, like you had previously discovered, they were wielding bows and arrows while you guys had laser guns. The first place that you decided to investigate, not entirely sure why you were supposed to investigate it. You just knew that in some roundabout way that Harold Zale was trying to help you get into the temple found, and she kept asking you to go to these places that the ancestors had left to try to gain some knowledge as to how to get in the back door of the foundry. The first place that you went was the House of Renewal, which was a decaying medical facility. It had all of the trappings of a medical facility that you would find in the Pack Worlds, as well as a couple of Kish from the warring faction that tried to stop you from entering. That didn't go so well for them. And,
I was gonna say you're just at the old doctor's office.
Yeah, and immediately, iconic celebrity Zib Beveridge took these two Kish into their party and showed them the VIP treatment of becoming a friend of Zib Beveridge. What this meant was that they were not killed. They were just tied up and subdued until you decided it was time for them to go, which did have a mechanical benefit at some point. While you were exploring the area, there was some weird noises happening in this area, and as you attempted to explore, opening one of the doors set off a needle trap, which did a significant amount of damage to Raj.
Me? Yeah.
Raj caught the brunt of this kind of spring-loaded needle trap in which you were not injected, but you were hit with an array of injection devices that did a fuckload of damage to you because you're a little small and squishy.
Yeah.
But importantly, the Kish captives then explain to you, oh yeah, by the way, we trapped that door because there's a big fucking monster behind it. One of the things that Harold Zale had told you was that the House of Renewal was where somebody went when they were feeling either physically or spiritually ill. They meditated, and then they entered the Chamber of Renewal to hopefully come out refreshed. However, as of late, more and more Kish that went in here were coming out disfigured and were being found unworthy, in which to the point where Harold Zale thought that the machine or the place might have been corrupted. Ryan, please go ahead.
I forgot that the Kish would go in here if they were spiritually tormented as well. And now I'm just imagining a Kish going in here, messing with the controls a little bit, and coming out Zib. And what that would do to a culture when they realize someone who went for spiritual healing became Zib.
It is the one and only Buddhist to reach Nirvana. Is the Buddha, and here they come.
The bugger.
The bug.
It's no good. It's no good.
So exploring this place led to you guys finding a pair of rebuilt Kish. They were Kish that had been, let's see if I still have it. I do. Sheet? No? I don't know how to show you guys this. They were Kish that had... Got it. There you go. Kish that had entered the Chamber of Renewal and had been rebuilt in whatever image that they were supposed to have been rebuilt in, except these Kish seem to be having a very bad time at living. This guy looks relatively normal. He's got two heads and maybe like another arm coming out there. However, this gentleman did not have nearly the luck of the other one and doesn't have skin or anything else.
I just noticed that the rebuilt one has 3 arms. I didn't notice like the little arm sticking out of his chest till right now.
And that's his arm. That's his assistant's arm. That's his assistant, by the way. But he also has intestines coming out of the top of his chest.
A lot going on there.
Yeah. So they're having a very bad time because they have stepped into this chamber and looking for healing, and they have received none. While you were arguing with your captives, you discovered that they had come here with 2 other members of their community, and you had assumed that they were the ones that had been transformed into these rebuilt creatures. And they told you, while they were upset that you had been killed more of their kind, they told you that they would have done the same thing because that's just what they do. If someone enters the Chamber of Renewal, they come out a monster, it is the best choice to just put them out of their misery. Which is what you guys did. Further exploring the House of Renewal led you eventually to the Chamber of Renewal, in which was contained the goo tank. The goo tank was a big tank, was a Bacta tank full of a very thick substance that upon entering it, theoretically, would repair your DNA and fix you in whatever way that you needed to be fixed. I think Raj had done a medicine or some kind of life science check on the rebuilt Kish outside and had discovered that the problems that those creatures were having were very similar to gene therapy gone wrong back on the Pack Worlds. A lot of experimental gene therapy before it was, really fleshed out. Got him. Was prone to these kind of abominations in the smaller scale, and this is what it would look like if a whole person had done it. So you learned that the machine was malfunctioning.
I should also mention that I took a thing that I shouldn't have taken.
Right, we didn't get that far yet. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, there's another thing
Yeah.
we skipped over, which I will bring up when you are done recapping.
While you were investigating it and fixing it, you learned that you could add DNA to the machine. You could take the Kish DNA and recalibrate it. Since you had fought the Kish from the other room, you took some of their blood and you put it into machine. Horatio and Pax wait, it was Horatio and Pax. Right, yeah. Pax tried to help Horatio and rolled a 1. So it ended up actually taking like 4 hours to fix the machine, which caused you guys to have to stay the night there before you left again.
I was helping.
Once Horatio fixed the machine, he was also able to add another slot of DNA, which he did for Zib. They took one of Zib's bug hairs, plopped it into the DNA sequencer, and added Zib's DNA to the machine so that both Sheeran and Kish could now use the machine with no fear of being rebuilt in a discombobulated fashion.
Hey, heads up, we're frozen on stream. Not that I mind, I look awesome. Actually,
wow, that is a great still of you. Yeah, so sometimes every once in a while, I haven't really figured out why this happens, but everything will just minimize. And when that happens, I have to reset everything. I have to reopen all of the windows and I have to refresh all of the faces, and I don't know. I don't know enough about it.
Here's what it is.
I'm just gonna keep punching this tree until I get wood out of it. You know what I mean?
What
Classic.
do you mean?
Yeah. Before you guys left, there was one small final thing that happened. You found a crystalline data pad that was easily able to be unlocked, and you found a message from somebody from the Foundry talking about a physical backdoor in their security settings with one of these hyper advanced locks that they had used. Unfortunately, Horatio then put that in his pocket instead of putting it back into its ancestral resting place.
Very, very human. Hey, I found this thing. I'm taking it with me.
Right.
He was described as like an iPad sitting on a shelf. So I was like, this had a lot of useful information on it. I'll take it back to, I keep wanting to call her Zale, as in like the jewelry store in the mall.
That's close enough, though.
Harold Sales.
Yeah. But yeah, Raj was like, this should be helpful. I should bring it back to the priestess lady. He decided not.
It was very honest, and it was a very sincere move, and I was just going to let it happen. Because once you guys got back to the community center... Wait, did I miss anything? Did anybody else want to add anything?
There's one thing that you did miss is that time that we took some prisoners because they surrendered to us, and then half the team argued that we should commit a war crime because it was easier than dealing with them.
That is kind of what happened. Yeah. Clara, do you have any insight on that about wanting to kill the prisoners so that they did not go back to their community?
I mean, really, shouldn't we start with Zib, who is saying like, hey, maybe, like, Zib, what was your thought process when two people who did not have the technological advancements of us and were doing no damage to us whatsoever surrendered? Like, how did you feel about that?
Oh, you're muted.
I'm muted. No.
Oh, you started talking.
My microphone's just bad? Yeah, I don't know.
There were no
figure
words.
That one out. I mean, no, it's not an ideal situation. I don't think it was... This whole campaign was like or part of the book was a weird mix of we can't stop stomping people. Oh no, a swarm. So no, I did not want to like execute prisoner. My war crimes are like tasteful and like cheeky.
Only if it's a good bit.
They're camp.
Yeah, it's okay to do war crime for if it's camp.
Campy war crimes. That's another thing that we represent here on this show. Now, the one that I was most interested in is Raj. I believe you wanted to execute the criminals. How do you feel your mother would feel about that?
Raj's mom has been pretty cool about all the other stuff that Pax has been encouraging me to do also, so...
It seems that at first, back in the very beginning on Absalom Station, Pax, I believe, called Horatio's mom on the phone, or maybe took the phone from Horatio.
Took the phone.
Yeah, he took the phone.
Yeah, bragging to Horatio's mother about the murders that he did in the name of the Starfinder Society.
Good at it.
And he got in trouble from his mom. But after that, there has seemed to been this kind of like growing appreciation for the cold-bloodedness of the Technomancer and their family.
They're just really happy that he's like interacting with people.
He's got friends.
No matter what that interaction is, as long as it's an interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Clara, why did you wait for anybody to say anything rather than just trigger pulling like you normally do?
To be, because Beck am a nice person,
Oh,
which
fair.
is very hard for me. Clara's line of reasoning was if we let them go, they're gonna go back to the other sect of Kish, and they're gonna say, hey, there's a bunch of people over here, and they're gonna send another army, and then we're gonna have to slaughter them all again. So by Clara's standards, she was being merciful, especially because after Captain Zid is like, no, we shouldn't kill them. Clara was like, then we should at least tie them up and leave them here until we're leaving, because otherwise we're gonna end up having to mow through a city when we don't have to. It's because Clara is nothing effective. Mm-hmm. She's focused on finding the most effective, and sometimes the path of least resistance is the one that is not murder.
And then also bullets are expensive, so...
Bullets are expensive.
Not as expensive as they used to be, which we will talk about at the end of the show.
Yeah.
However, there is one very important thing that I forgot to mention during this. We discovered that all of the doors in Istamak make the most pleasant sound when they open and close.
I forgot about the doors!
Is everybody ready?
Yes.
Hit me.
Oh,
good.
Fuck.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna close it.
Now that you opened it, close it.
Hold on, close it. Hold on.
Oh, good.
Thank you, Sirenscape. Very good, thank you.
But it's no...
It's true. That is true.
Yeah, but what about...
Can he do it in time?
Don't worry, he'll cut this out.
I thought you were
What
going to do
about?
it. Hold on, we're going to cut it. We're going to cut it. Hey, Zip,
on
what about...
YouTube.
What about that? I thought you were going to do it. I queued you up. I alley-ooped you. I gave you a gift. I gave you an improv gift.
Okay, I don't know. I thought you were taking charge. I didn't know I had to, just do it all. Soundboard mastery.
And then you left, right? Correct.
Yeah. And then
So we all had a great big time at the House of Renewal. And you returned to the Cloudside Community Center. And at the Cloudside Community Center, you regaled Harold Zale with your effective engineering knowledge in order to fix the Chamber of Renewal. And then Horatio went, also, I found this very cool thing. And Harold Zale almost had an aneurysm.
It was just like if you saw an iPad sitting amongst like a bunch of dead flowers and probably some candles and I don't know, like a terracotta plate with mandarin oranges on it, like you'd say, "Oh, that iPad's for me." And then
if you're driving down the side of the highway and you see those white crosses just hanging there, and there happens to be a really nice baseball mitt or a football you like, just
or
take
a picture of a 15-year-old Latino boy, like just
take it with you,
just to take it.
Nobody else is using it.
In his in really no fault of his own, Horatio had snagged this iPad-looking datapad thing, and then presented it as a prize to Harold Zale. who then reacted very offendedly because the place that they had gone was a very sacred place, and it is one of the few places that they could hear the voices of the ancestors. And one of the voices of the ancestors was inside of that data pad and had lived there for a very long time. They don't understand technology at a level that any of you guys do. So when Horatio presented this data pad to Harold Zale, she initially had a very hostile reaction, but was able to be convinced enough to realize that you guys are not malicious and you didn't know what you were really doing, and it wasn't really your fault. So she took it from you with her...
We need to get that stenciled on the side of the ship.
Not really our fault.
It was not really our
We don't know what we're doing.
They're not
It's
blasphemous. They're just stupid.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So she decided that you weren't malicious. So she voted that you were able to continue exploring these places as long as you understood that like what you did was a no-no. You did a bad, and I think you also kind of immediately realized this. And Horatio was like, "Yeah, I obviously won't do that again." But you know, like it is a data pad sitting there, and you kept like trying to like reconvince her, and she's like, "No, I've already forgiven you. It's okay."
It didn't even have like 2FA on it or anything like that. Like there wasn't even like biometrics unlocking. I literally just like tapped the side of it and it powered on. So
literally, like I think to open it, it's a computer's 10. But like the Kish could never roll a 10 on computers because it's not even on their stat sheet, or like just like metaphorical stat sheet.
They don't even have abacus. They have goat tied to a stake in the ground that makes a circle.
That was intense.
Sorry.
That's the sound of heresy when you offend a priestess. That's the sting for that.
So the other cool thing about Sirenscape is that it will just start the loudest sound that it possibly can right at the very beginning without warning anybody or balancing it in any way.
I'm just noticing every time we switch to a new scene, Zib is at like no health every time.
Yeah,
That's
that checks
right.
out.
Constantly dying bug. I didn't realize how often Zib was near death this entire chapter.
I'm kind of the tank of the team, so
That's absorbing all that.
So the next place that Harold Zale sent you to was the Maze of Ghosts. The Maze of Ghosts was a place where they heard the ancestors' voices most frequently. Upon arrival to the Maze of Ghosts, you were attacked by a giant snake-looking thing. The giant snake-looking thing attempted to pick up and squeeze and constrict the lightest characters, being Horatio and Zib, even at some point dragging Zib up into the ceiling to try to take them back to their nests and eat them. However, one very forward-thinking member of your party decided to kind of deviate from the attack technomancer that they had been planning and go to a more supportive role in a way that has worked out every single time. And what Horatio decided to do was cast a spell. Was it Fluid Morphism or Fluidity of Form? It's one of those.
It was the one that turns you into a gas. So I think it was fluid morphism.
So they made Zib into a gaseous-like creature. One of the benefits of being a gaseous-like creature is that you cannot be grappled. So while this giant snake is constricting Zib Beveridge, trying to crack the carapace, suddenly it just turns into a gas, and it squeezes hard enough that Zib kind of popped out the other side and was able to regain their form standing on the floor below them. Horatio decided that he was going to do the same thing to himself, and between the four of you, you were now basically immune to being grappled by this giant snake, because you either were immune to grapple, or your armor class was so high because you've min-maxed your armor like some of us, or you fucked up last season and gave your operative the best armor that they could have had 3 levels in the future. Sometimes that happens, and you just have to live with it.
It worked great for me personally.
Personally, yes. For Beck, Clara, perfect. Everybody else, well, everybody else still perfect. Me, nah. The Maze of Ghosts was a museum that showed the history of Istamak, which was the city that you guys were in. As soon as you walked past the opening door, you got to this area. Oops. Oh, you can't see anything over here. This area here, it's all in the dark.
Can I just drag one of us over there? Highlight it.
Oh, yeah, perfect. The movement... Jesus Christ.
Someone with dark vision, so not Zip.
There we go. There we go. Okay. Okay. This area here is where you fought the Iroquois, and in here, you walked into a room with a bunch of dirty old shelves and hooks that seemed to have stuff on them at one point. You had walked into the gift shop of the maze. I'm sorry, of the museum. One of the things that you found in the museum was a hollow disguise belt that already had the preloaded image of somebody from Istamak's history. As you explored the rest of the maze, you eventually came around a corner, at which point I think Pax walked by a hologram describing the history of the founding of Istamak, etc., and then the hologram turned around and punched Pax in the face.
Yes.
Which reminds me of a thing I forgot about in the snake fight. During the snake fight, Pax missed so many times with his sword that he chucked it across the room. When the Iroquois went to run away because it realized it was losing, Pax got an attack of opportunity, and he punched it so hard that he exploded its jaw and killed it.
Yeah, it was sick.
It was definitely a time. I can't. I don't know why that was the one time that my dice decided to work in this entire section, but
because
it did.
It knew.
Yep, it knew.
This was this fighting this living hologram was the first encounter that you guys had with something that was incorporeal. The incorporeal creatures can walk through walls and attack while they're in a wall, and they can turn invisible, and they can do all kinds of goofy bullshit. One of the bigger problems that you guys also had was that this living hologram could duplicate itself and make copies around the room to confuse you as to which was an illusion and which was the real hologram that you could potentially hit. There's a lot of rules about which attacks are ineffective against incorporeal creatures and how incorporeal creatures interact with the rest of combat while they're inside of a wall or something. So we were doing all of these things. You guys were trying to punch the wall while the incorporeal creature was still in there. You were trying to shoot him as he came out. Eventually, about halfway through the fight, there was a glowing blue glyph on the floor. You touched it. You went to the dimly lit red restaurant. You met the hostess once again, and she upgraded some of your equipment for a non-modest fee. And then she sent you right back to where you were, and you were able to defeat the living hologram that was stalking the halls of this museum. After you defeated it, you made some sort of science check to determine what kind of creature that was, and you learned that living holograms are projected by a malfunctioning piece of equipment somewhere in the vicinity. In order to fix it, if you wanted to, you would have to find that projector and do some sort of engineering check to repair it. While walking through the rest of the museum, you were viewing all of the holograms that were set up for people to see, to view the history of the founding and the industry and the industrialism of Istamak. one of the things that you learned while you were in there, Zib, while I was trying to make more opportunities for Zib to use sense motive, I decided to have Zib make a sense motive on all of these videos, realizing that a lot of what these videos were not a historically accurate representation, but were more just a propaganda-esque video series about how great Istamak was. You eventually made your way to the end. Pax attempted to fight a couple of the projectors because he did not understand how they worked. He then took his flashlight and set it up underneath one of the broken projectors because he felt bad that he couldn't fix it. And you made your way to this back room, which contained two things. One was a giant setup of many holograms over a desk in an official setting, and there was another one of those shrines back here that had a lot of dried leaves and effigies and a triangular crystalline data pad. Both of those things were something that Horatio was going to interact with. He found the projector that was malfunctioning inside this office setting, but he knew that since they had a certain amount of time, he didn't want to change or affect the landscape that these people had left here in any way, because he had very abruptly learned how important it was to these people. So he decided that even though it was theoretically dangerous, he was going to leave it the way it was. The same thing with the shrine and the dried flowers that were left at the crystalline data pad to the north. You picked it up, you unlocked it, you found another voice message and recording, this time from the company that makes the hyper-advanced locks, and about the worrisome customers that had learned that there could be an override code put in from a factory setting that could let basically anybody in. So at this point, you had learned two important things. You had learned that there was a physical backdoor to the foundry that had a lock on it, and now you had learned that there was a lock that was used on this door that was able to be put into an admin mode. Additionally, after putting those two messages together, you learned where the message came from. You were able to find a copy of the IP addresses, for lack of a better word, for every building and server in Istamak, and found that there was a building that had sent both of these messages from a place that was far to the north and to the west of where you were. Horatio left the data pad where he found it. Pax,
We learned.
That's learning.
Pax also decided that he was going to take some of the dirt and twigs and wires and kind of make an effigy of a little Vesk man and put it in the pile of dried flowers and shrines, and decided that instead of taking something, they were going to leave something, which I thought was adorable. And before the living hologram could come back out, you guys had exited the Maze of Ghosts and headed back to the community center. Very quickly in the community center, you told Harold Zale about how you definitely didn't touch anything, but still had learned that you knew where your next step to go was. When you explained to her where you were going, she looked kind of concerned, because the area that you guys were going to head to was a place known as the Blasted Lands. This, in the top left of your screen, is the Blasted Lands. They are a series of stable floating islands that are about 50 feet apart each. The scale is not correct on this map, but they're about 50 feet apart each, but they are separated by a yawning chasm that leads directly into the gas giant that the city is orbiting. So after explaining this to you, she tells you that in order to get onto the building that you need to go to, you will have to grapple your way across or do some kind of very cool spaceship maneuver where you hover the ship for a minute and then everybody jumps out and then you figure out a way to get back. What you guys decided was that Clara 247, the ship's pilot, would do a flyby with Shepard or with Zib and Horatio, who would jump out of the ship and wait for Pax and Clara to use the grappling hook that they had got from Harold Zale to grapple their way from island to island to reach the Securitech building, which was the headquarters of the company that made the lock that had the admin code that would lead you to the temple found that contained the information about the stellar degenerator that would lead you inevitably somewhere else. Fortunately, those things went off without any issue. Horatio and Zib leapt out of the spaceship. They waited around as Clara and Pax were on their way over from grappling. Zib and Horatio were attacked by two sentient floating balloon things. They did not have a problem. Zib did a great job. Horatio did a great job. Pax showed up, killed one. Clara hung upside down from a cable and shot another, and it was cool, and everybody was fine.
It was cool.
It was really cool. It was a low-level encounter. There was really no danger there, but it was something that you guys did have to deal with. They spit rocks at you. It was good. It was a good time. And then the good times were over. Because
I was going to say, what didn't somewhere in there we learned the origin of Clara 247 and the existence of a Clara 246?
Something along
Vaguely.
So I think it was like something in the House of Renewal. There was I remember Beck doing a description of renewal centers and about
That's
how
right.
Yeah, and that's I think is at the end of like episode 205 or 204, and it's something like
It's just funny that they use the same word that they do for the Android life cycle. I thought it was interesting.
It is interesting.
I
You
think I did a good bit.
Yeah, you dropped a bunch of interesting character stuff.
I've written
at this
so
point.
much stuff about androids, you guys. So much stuff.
And where is it?
I just think they're neat. It's in here.
Oh, I see.
This is also where you
Writing.
started to question the hostess.
Oh yeah, fuck the hostess.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
no,
that was I think when you guys were in the Maze of Ghosts and when you got the upgrades, because that's when Horatio got eyes. Right.
I got the scope.
You got the scope. Horatio got eyes. He got a shine job because he was human and did not have any light source. So I just gave him dark vision eyes. Zib got new armor, and Clara got a scope that could see incorporeal creatures. Of course, with the caveat that you would help the hostess at some other point, which you did when you went to the cotton candy adventure that I wrote. The award-winning adventure available on Starfinder Infinite right now.
Plug.
So you made it to the Securitech buildings. Upon entering them, you had a really rough time even getting inside because the doors were so old that they had kind of collapsed into each other, and there was this kind of mold growing over top and in between them, and it was so stuck together that you could barely rip them open. But eventually, with strength check after strength check after strength check, you were able to do so. Exploring this office building was disgusting because there were carpets and mounds of mold that had just grown over the last 1,000 years in this building. You guys were walking in essentially what was like ankle-deep snow, but was mold. While exploring, you found several rooms that looked like they were nothing more than cubicle farms and executive offices, and eventually you made your way to a... I guess I should put you on Securitech, huh? Eventually you made your way to this back room. I can't do it from there. God dang it. Where Zip's over there. Zip can't see. That's
I'm scared.
there we go. Okay. This back room, once you entered it, had less mold in it. The mold seemed to grow all around this room except for this area here. And when that area was explored, you found a sort of jerry-rigged, glowing magical device that you had no idea what it did. Zib decided that they would touch it, and when they touched it, they were shocked, and the thing exploded, and they were dealt a significant amount of electricity damage as the latent magical energy that had been stored there for years was shot out into the first person that touched it. It was a magical trap. It was a glowy thing on the ground that you were supposed to be attracted to and touched, that literally so that it would just deal damage to you. It's the perfect trap.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic 1,000-year-old prank.
Once you got through that area, you made your way into the server room. Now, the server room contained two different computers, one that seemed to connect to the outside world and another that seemed to be totally contained inside this building. In order to turn these computers back on, because they had been off for a very, very long time, you had to find some sort of power source and hotwire it into these servers to turn them on and search for the information that you needed. So what you did was you took Pax's electro defense thingy and ripped it out of his armor, plugged that into a battery, took Horatio's backup generator that lets him generate charge from just walking around, plugged that into Pax as well. And then Pax ran sprints forward and backwards that ended with Clara smacking Pax in the head with the flat side of a sword in order to have his electrostatic defense thing charge up the battery that you were going to use to turn the computers back on. It was an incredible plan. I think by the book, I theoretically should not have been able to let you do that. However, in the book,
It was funny.
However, yeah, no, like if it's funny, it counts. That in the book, it says that the characters need a high capacity battery to even attempt to turn it on, but none of you guys had that because
How are we supposed to know we needed one?
Right, you're not even in the packed world, and also, what is the difference?
We had a high capacity Vesk, so we're fine.
Yeah. So I figured that since you guys were doing so many things to pump power into this battery that would then be used for the computer, it was a creative enough solution that I just took that part out, and you guys were able to get like I want to say it was like 30 seconds per charge out of the battery. No, I'm sorry. This 1 minute of work per charge in the battery, right? So you guys got 7 charges. So you had 7 minutes to get in and out of this server, and you did it in like a minute and a half.
Now, all that said, I wouldn't have been mad if this somehow ended up with Pax on the ground getting stomped by Zib and Clara, just desperately trying to get enough juice into this thing, as you're fully aware we will never succeed.
I'm not that kind of guy. I would not have let that gone more than one round. I would have told you afterwards, like, yeah, you take 6 damage, but it's actually not going to work. While exploring the inside of this server, you found several communications from Securitech officers about the concerns over the admin code for the Securitech locks that were used in the Foundry. And you found that if you went to one of these locks and input a certain code in a certain order, you could reset it to factory settings and then put in something along the lines of like 11111 and hit enter, and it would unlock the door. Because all of these Securitech locks needed to have an admin code so that they could be updated with their firmware, they could be serviced and they could be fixed, or if they just didn't pay their bill or whatever. And now I'm going to tell you guys one of the most frustrating things about running this adventure is that this had gotten us up to about halfway through the season. And finally, you're doing this, like, not wild goose chase, because that implies that you never get the goose. You're doing this wild goose kitten farming collecting of, like, you have to go here and it's kind of not clear why you have to go there, and you have to go here and it's kind of not clear why you have to go there, and then you finally figure out that there is a way to unlock the unlockable lock that is at the back door of the impenetrable fortress. Okay. In this module, it describes the entrance to the temple found, and it's a whole campus, and it is has all these, like, anvil motifs, and it's very nice and interesting. You guys explore the fountains. You explore the beginning of the room, and where you're going to go into. There's an area over here that you guys went to that had the that had the door that you were going to go to. You went around the back. You went downstairs. There was a chain link fence. The chain link fence was locked, so you picked it open, and then you went to this very important security door that had the lock on it, because you had just spent 4 months finding the admin code to unlock this lock. Unfortunately, there is a line in here that says it is impossible to open this lock without the admin key code, or succeeding at a DC 30 engineering check. Which you guys could have just done that the whole time.
Yep.
Now, obviously, if you had just done that, the rest of the adventure would not exist, and you would not have had the experience that you had, and your XP would be all over the place. But if you're just writing an adventure, there can be a block like that is... It's okay. It can just be impenetrable unless you collect the 3 pieces of heart or whatever. You get the 3 Zelda things and then the 6 Zelda things. Like, it's fine. You can just do that. Being able to circumvent the entire adventure with a very good engineering check that you could probably take 20 on is... I
was gonna say Raj could probably easily do that.
It would have been fine.
Yeah.
So,
next time when we speed run this book, we'll remember that.
I'm sorry, here it is. A 35 computers check or a 38 engineering check.
Yeah, Raj could easily do that.
Yeah. So, that was my only real frustration with the book, as far as how it was designed and narratively and stuff.
It's all before that very good Dishonored 2 level that solves this problem in game design once and for all.
What's that?
There's a really... Dishonored 2, some amazing level design, but there's one level where you have to get through a door that has this logic puzzle lock on it called the Jindosh lock. And you can play the whole level doing the Dishonor stealth them up thing to gain, like, pieces of the code written down on paper. Or you can sit there and solve the logic puzzle.
Oh.
But the lock is randomized every playthrough, so it's always a different logic puzzle.
But it's always the same but it's always a different answer.
Yeah.
But
once you have the logic, you still need to take like the 3 or 5 minutes to like riddle out what is actually the combination.
Interesting.
But
that's awesome.
It's really good. If you haven't seen it, you should look up the Jindosh lock.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna do that.
I think that's what it's called.
So after months of searching, you gain entrance to the Temple Found. And the first thing that you fight in the Temple Found is a giant ooze with a bunch of fucking guns attached to it.
this motherfucker.
You find yourself in the security entrance to the foundry, and while you are there, you immediately come up against a scavenger slime, something that you guys all were able to recognize. A scavenger slime will walk along whatever area it's in, picking up pieces of technology and scrapping them to its body to make a hermit crab-like shell, as well as picking up weapons that it can then use with some sort of instinctual knowledge on you guys. So you walk
Like
into
a
this
gun
room
with a cute little face.
like a gun with a
Really?
cute little face, except it's not cute because it's on and firing at you. The scavenger slime was tough, but you got there. There may have been some mistakes about whether or not critical hits are applicable to a slime. And you know what? That's okay. That's okay. Because you can't play by the rules if you don't know them.
Mm-hmm.
However, I did specifically state at the beginning of the fight that you all know that they cannot be affected by critical hits, and then like the next thing that happened was a critical hit, and I was like, wow, that's great. Yeah, he takes double damage. So that's on me. I don't know. I forgot that fast. I got a lot going on. So you fight the scavenger slime, which was fun. I thought that was a fun fight because it's just slime with 3 guns attached to it, which is great. I love that kind of monster. Feeling overpowered from your victory in the basement, you then went upstairs. And why doesn't everybody tell me what happened in the hallway upstairs?
I cowered up against a wall.
Okay,
That's all
good.
I remember. All I did. Yeah.
Zib, how did your Spacewave Maiden crew versus 4 large elementals fight go?
If memory serves, like very fine. I don't think there was any incident here. I don't think it was. I think it was like not even a full episode.
Yeah.
Definitely wasn't.
Yeah,
multiple.
we like totally bodied those guys. It was free, as they say.
I think I took them all on.
Yeah.
Zib.
Single-handedly,
I think it was just Zib.
Yep.
So
I
interesting.
think, and I distinctly remember Pax rolling well consistently, just over and over again.
So good.
Nice.
Great rolls.
So the first half of the fight, totally on board with everything you just said. You guys are doing great. There were 4 large elementals. There was a fire one, a rock one, a water one, and a wind one. They had busted out of this room here. Why they were in this room, nobody seems to know. They attacked you immediately. Hold on, we're going to get to that. They attacked you. Now I can tell you, it's fine. They attacked you immediately. And Zib had this great moment where Zib said, I don't know what this grenade does, but I'm going to throw it. And it was a panic grenade. And if they failed the will save, they would be confused for several rounds. And they failed the will save. And the wind elemental was confused and hitting its friends for a couple rounds. And it was great. And then that ended, and then you all almost died.
Yep.
You quickly realized that it was impossible to get anything done in this room because 3 of you are shooting guns, and they all had a 10-foot reach, and the hallway is only 20 feet wide. So no matter where you were, at all times, there was a large elemental ready to hit you. Zib, Clara, and Horatio eventually retreated into the hallway. Unfortunately, Pax got trapped because there was a water elemental between him and the door. Now, there is a acrobatics skill move that you can do called Tumble, which lets you move through an enemy's square without provoking an attack of opportunity. Normally, you cannot move through their square, and even if you went around them, it would provoke an attack of opportunity. But there's a very difficult move to move through an enemy's square using acrobatics. I let Pax make an athletics check instead, and I did not tell him whether or not he succeeded for 6 days.
Yep.
I decided
During during that time, I rolled up an entirely new character.
Exactly. I decided that what we would do is we would fade to black on that episode. Pax would remain upstairs. Ryan and I would privately figure out what happened to Pax, and we would continue with the focus on the other three characters who were running away, except that I decided to punish my friends for my mistake. When they ran away from the elementals, I had already decided that the scavenger slime was going to be not dead, and it was going to playfully follow them through the rest of the foundry, because it had recovered from being unconscious, because it wasn't really dead, because it still had hit points left because of the critical hit thing. But I decided in that moment to create drama instead. Drama is who I am.
Don't think that's true.
No, it's really not. I'm the... I don't have time for that.
Okay.
Proving that you're not drama.
I decided that once you got back downstairs, the scavenger slime was going to be alive and still shooting at you. One of the main issues with this was that Zib could not see in the dark. Zib, who could not see in the dark, threw a grenade that bounced right back at their feet.
Yeah, not my best move.
At some point, Clara was unconscious, regained consciousness, and then shot the scavenger slime again. And the three of you were at the bottom of these stairs, all with basically one hit point. Wondering...
Yeah, oh wow. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, you guys like
really
all
rough.
almost died. The next episode we started, you guys were down in the security area. You took a second and got yourself together and walked back upstairs looking for Pax. Fortunately, Pax was covered in elemental water, soaking wet. The stairs were covered in water, and Pax was on the ground staring at the closed door as the elementals tried to beat it down, but would not have been able to. I think they were pummeling the door. They would not be able to get through it, and you guys were able to retreat. While you guys walked back to the community center to lick your wounds, Pax told you that the hostess had once again appeared and tried to offer Pax a deal in exchange for a very powerful weapon. The powerful weapon would have been a copy of the relic weapon, the Honor Bringer. And in order to use it, Pax would have had to lose his race as a Vesk and gain the race of a Barai, which is a mostly undead creature. But because Pax is Pax, he decided not to do that. And because I thought that was so cool, I eventually did just give a version of that weapon to Pax later on. You guys left the foundry and found yourself back at the Cloudside Community Center, where you were asked about your victory, and then you immediately had to tell them that you didn't victor at all. And Harold Zale said, well, there is one guy that might be able to help you. And that is when you guys went to recruit the help of Space Devil. Space Devil is the Kish character that I told Ryan to make, just in case Pax did not make it out of that room, so that Ryan would not be left out of playing with us. Fortunately, Pax did not die, and you guys were able to take a sort of overwhelming force back into the foundry to beat the elementals and then make your way further down to also fight High Becky and the hounds that she commanded.
Mm-hmm. And the best part about it is that Space Devil is very cool. Everybody likes him.
Mm-hmm.
Chad,
really low key.
Chad Bang,
real
for more
swell
Space
guy.
Devil.
Yeah, a really low key temporary party member, and I'm surprised he didn't stick with us.
Certainly something rolled up with the intention of not being a guest character that would burn themselves out very quickly, but one that could be with the party forever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Space Devil was a very good example of what happens when you build a Starfinder character in a straight line. Because when when you're playing in a campaign and you build a character, you're not really building on you kind of have a path in your head. And you're like, okay, well, I want to take this because I want to gain this ability. But then you're finding out that, like, this ability is going to be useless because we're on Eox. We're only going to fight undead. Like, the big bad is undead, so I'm only going to pick anti-undead stuff. However, Ryan decided to make an incredibly overpowered pistol build that allowed him to take 3 shots every round at a -3 instead of a -4, and also none of them could be attack of opportunity. So he just did that every round. And it was kind of amazing. And while he was a big help in fighting the elementals, and he was a big help in fighting the second in command to Huntsman Zavra, whose name was Hibeki, once Hibeki had been defeated and her hounds, these Iohi, like half gorilla, half lion, half dog looking things, once they had all been defeated and surrendered in the next room, she started talking about Huntsman Zavra. And once Becky started talking about Huntsman Zavra, Space Devil sort of immediately realized that his childhood bully was in the next room, and he could not stand to see him. So he decided to make up a problem and leave and go take care of something else. I believe he said something along the lines of he left his space stove on at home, and then left the foundry to go take care of that. But he was able to help you guys get a little further, and it was interesting to see a hyper focused Starfinder character, which is the way that, like, Pathfinder 1 was supposed to be played. Like, the most effective way to play it was to pick one thing to be good at. And while there's a lot more things to be good at in Starfinder, you don't have to be good at only one thing. You can be good at a couple. After the fight with Hibeki and Space Devil left, you guys had a very small conversation with her in which she told you that he is probably immune to any sort of reason or diplomacy at this point, while she has granted not granted, but while she has given up in this fight, you guys are not going to have any sort of chance to diplomatness with him at all. He is embedded in what he thinks is the right way of doing things. He is a fanatic, and he will not yield to anybody who he deems unworthy or not in line with what he thinks the reverence of the ancestors should be. Because all these people, they look at all of the Kish that lived here 1,000 years ago in the peak of Istamak's scientific prominence as these, not necessarily gods, but as these all-powerful ancestors whose influence is still felt, and they have to appease them in order for good things to happen. And that normally bad things happen when there is some sort of nondescript unworthiness that the ancestors have declared as happening. That's why you guys had to go to these holy places of the Kish, because the Kish needed to make sure that you were of good intention and that you passed the trials of the ancestors in order to even be allowed to go in there, and that through all that gaining the knowledge of how to unlock the lock, all of that was proof of the divine providence of the ancestors to grant you passage into this room. Huntsman Zavra, on the other hand, would refer to you as defilers and demons and everything that he believed he was not. So Hibeki told you that once you go into that room, there is a very, very, very high chance that the only way that this fight will end is with you killing him, or he kills you. She, at that point, was no longer concerned about the outcome of the battle. She had surrendered because it was more important for her to get out with her hounds than it was to, make sure that you guys didn't go in there. And when you went in there, you entered a very small room that was an antechamber for the large library of data pads in the next room. The fight with Zavra started incorrectly. When this book that I have, which is The Ruined Clouds, was written and printed, it was printed with an incorrect stat block. In this book, Zavra's EAC and KAC are 31 and 32, respectively. Now, I thought that was very high, but he is the final boss, so I didn't actually do the math on it. And the first time that Clara shot at Zavra, I suddenly did the math, and I realized that the only way to hit Zavra would be with a 20. So there was a 5% chance every time that anybody would hit him, which is not very good odds for the final battle of the book. So with a total party kill on the horizon, after the battle started, I was scrambling to figure out what was wrong. During that fight, Huntsman Zavra showed off that he had Solarian powers. He was attuning himself to the photons, and then he went the non-photon way. I can't think. Graviton. He got to full attunement, jumped down, and cast time dilation on all of you guys, making a majority of you very slow.
Yeah, that sucked.
And it sucked.
And
it was
I
awesome.
absolutely
It sucked
need
a
to
lot.
learn. I need to learn slow.
Yeah.
I need to learn that.
It is incredible. Because he casts slow in a 15-foot cone in front of him, or 20-foot cone in front of him. So it's just on a bunch of you.
And it's slow.
He can do it like every 3 rounds. Or something like that every 3 rounds. It's amazing. Solarians are amazing. Everybody go play a Solarian. And then what he would do is he ran around the room gaining photon powers so that he could supernova all over you guys. And he would just explode in a 30-foot radius. Yeah, I do have to say
what if Goku was a Green Lantern and also a Jedi? That's Solarian.
Oh my god, see, look, it happened again. This all minimized for no reason. Sorry, guys. What if Goku was a Solarian and a Jedi? And yes. The closest thing that Starfinder has to a Goku is probably a Solarian.
That's the proper way to describe a Goku. Also, like a Dracula.
Like a Dracula, like a Goku.
like a Goku.
Well, I guess it would be a Godzilla, right?
Yeah.
Like a Paxtoro, big aggressive guys. So halfway through that fight, we cut the episode. And I did a little bit of digging, and it turns out that the original numbers used and printed for Huntsman Zavra were incorrect, and that they had actually accidentally added his armor bonus when calculating his NPC armor class, which is incorrect. NPCs use a static armor class regardless of what they're wearing. It is a table in the back of the Alien Archive. It's a very cool way to do things. Their armor literally only dictates what they will drop when they die. So if you want them to have a very high AC but low armor, they're just low armor, but they're super good. So you're fucked. It is a balancing thing, and I had to go dig into the forums a little bit because these books are several years old, and I confirmed that Huntsman Zavra's AC was too high by a factor of like 8. Which was a lot. So when we came back, once again, on the floor in front of Clara was a glowing blue symbol. And Clara reached down and touched the symbol. And the hostess froze time for everybody and walked out and touched Zavra as he kind of shimmered and his armor class lowered. She gave Clara a rebuild kit for her rifle to make it close range and no longer unwieldy. She fixed Pax's custom weapon. The Honor Bringer was going to be very powerful. Pax declined it. So what the hostess gave Pax instead was the Respectful Decline, which was a custom-made weapon using the Starfinder enhanced rules, which needed some rebalancing after the first time I made it, because the first time I made it, I did not realize a couple of things. Most importantly, you cannot make attacks of opportunity with unwieldy weapons. And if you can't make attacks of opportunity, that kind of undoes everything that Pax Duro does, and it also would undo the feat that Beck had taken called Coordinated Shot.
I think that's
Mm-hmm.
what
Something along those
Something
lines.
along
Yeah.
those lines.
Yeah.
Whenever
Or basically, you make an opportunity attack, I make an opportunity attack.
exactly,
Mhm.
yeah. So the the hostess came out, gave everybody new equipment. Horatio did not get anything. He got, I think he got
I'm perfect in every way.
he got a FedEx pickup slip that said
Yeah.
that the package was going to be delivered, and Zib got a new camera that let a target of opportunity. Perfect. It let Zib have a like streamer kit built into their armor. So that when they turned their camera on, their omnidirectional camera that they used to record everything that they did to upload it to gain fans, they could also now get more of a bonus while they were doing it, keep better track of it, and also shine a light out in front of them so that they could see and not throw grenades at their feet anymore.
Whatever.
The goddess brought you one of those like streamer beginner kits that you see
Yes.
at the checkout line
At the Micro Center.
TJ Maxx.
Yeah.
Like TJ Maxx, like it used to be like $70, but it was marked down to like $8. Like it's so nice. It's like a nice grandma.
It's 3 tripods, and like one of them's a mic stand with no mic on it, and the other one's like a shitty ring light, and they all shoot out, and it's like spider arms from it's the Ultimate Spider-Man thing.
Yes.
That was like you know what I'm talking about. I don't.
Yeah, the Iron Spider.
The Iron Spider.
Mhm.
Thank you. I don't know anything about that, so I couldn't properly convey what I was trying to say. But you know what I mean. So after that, you guys kicked the shit out of Sovereign.
Yeah.
We did.
But to be fair, even with the AC adjustments, because of the way back and forth Starfinder combat works, it was still difficult, and you still had to work for it, and he still kind of almost got you a couple times.
Yeah, it wasn't an easy fight. And in fact, I would say it was probably the first time like I felt as players above the table, we were tactically like paying attention to what the other person was doing and then like adding on to that.
Because you had to. Because there was no other choice. And also half of you also didn't have a full turn. You could only do one action because you were fucking slowed.
That's weird because I really felt like a combat, I don't know, like 2 combats ago was one that we probably should have paid attention to, and I felt very threatened during.
Well, we just figured the big muscly guy could handle.
Got it.
It's just 4 simulacra of like, elemental monsters.
If anyone can beat up earth, fire, wind, and water, it's Pax.
So, to that point, the simulacrum, as you call it, of the elementals were not simulacrum at all. They were real elementals. I
thought they were like
they were summoned when one of Huntsman Zavra's men touched a prototype weapon inside that storage bay and accidentally turned it on. And what it did was it summoned 4 random large elementals. It opened up a portal to each of the planes, and unfortunately, when that opened, 4 large elementals, one from each plane, walked through into the storage facility.
I like how we didn't even fuck around to figure out where they came from. We just ran.
I think at some point I might have explained something along those lines. But the thing is in the book it just says what I said. So there's no like, oh yeah, and then you can pick this up and use it. But like it says a now defunct piece of technology that would that opened up a portal to each of the 4 planes and summoned an elemental, and it says that it can't
do it again.
I can't do it again because a PC would not have the access to the research records or anything or how the thing was built in the first place. But then like the very next line is, and then you find the Splinter Cell night vision goggles, but they're made for 3 eyes. But if you just fix them, you can use them. And it's like, all right, well, like I figure, like, not that I'm saying that X-ray vision and summoning elementals from other planes are the same thing, but they're kind of the same thing. It's just magic and circuitry. Like eventually everything's figure outable. It's, we could have done it, but they had to do that because then what you would have done is just had a gun that can summon large elementals, and you're not allowed. You're not allowed to have that.
Oh, I was about to ask you, can we have a gun that lets us summon large elementals? 'Cause I think that would be really beneficial to our...
Zib deserves the world. And maybe 3 other worlds from which to summon things.
Well,
What if instead of a gun, they were grenades that summoned elementals?
Elemental grenade.
we already have that.
Just one. Well, can Zib have one?
Yeah,
They're so expensive.
they are expensive. Zib has had those before. I think in I want to say in the jungles of Castroville.
I believe that was a Skittermander
Yeah,
grenade.
No, there was a couple of
Skittermander.
Hold on.
Yeah, 2 Skittermander
What?
grenades.
No. There were 2 Skittermander grenades, and there was also another elemental summoning grenade. I specifically remember giving you many grenades. I don't know what happened to them. I assumed you used them, but I definitely gave them to you.
You know what? You should make sure that is still on your character sheet there, Steph.
Yeah, why don't you just add those back, Steph?
Add those back in, because you did get them.
And I remember you using them.
So, with the defeat of Huntsman Zavra, we're going to move on. No further questions, thank you. With the defeat of Huntsman Zavra, you guys were able to find the data pad that contained the information that was originally taken by the Cult of the Devourer. You read the data pad and gained another location that you had to get to, which was described as the Gate of the 12 Suns. This gate was apparently a demiplane that was created by the Kish to hold the stellar degenerator after they captured it from their rivals, the other guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Civs, SIVV. So with this new information, you return to Harold Zale and said your goodbyes and return to your spaceship to get your shit together to go to the next arc of your adventure. Before that, though, we had to have several epilogues with each of our characters. So the epilogue of Istamak was that no matter how much you talked to them, and not that they really offered, none of them were interested in leaving the planet. They all wanted to stay on Istamak. However, they were interested in initiating first contact and communication with the Pack Worlds, which is a step in the right direction because they won't be able to live forever on the decaying husk of a city by themselves. And you were going to take that information that you gained from the data pad and find the Gate of 12 Suns and figure out what the cultists were doing and also stay ahead of the corpse fleet. So after saying your goodbyes to Harold Zale, you made your way back to the Emerald landing pad, which had the Spacewave Maiden on it. Standing on the edge of the platform with a billowing cloak, looking off into the distance, was Space Devil. Space Devil had a small conversation with Pax. Space Devil told Pax that no matter how much you ask me, I will not go with you. And Pax was very upset about this, begged him to stay. Space Devil said, no, I can't. My people need me here. And Pax, with tears in his eyes, said, I love you, and I will forever. And Space Devil said, I know, and then he left. And that's exactly what happened.
That's exactly how Space Devil is going to describe it to everyone.
And as Space Devil was leaving, Pax, the item that the hostess had given you when she had stopped time in Huntsman Zavra's chambers, was a really big, thick, heavy book. And when you opened it, because it was making a humming noise, when you opened it, the page that you were on started writing itself, and it said Kish, and a small description of what a Kish looks like, and then some of their physiology, and then a little thing about Istamak. And as you flipped back through the book, you realized that the book had started writing all of the creatures that you had seen on Istamak, and then even further still back on Eox and Castrovel, and the Drift Rock in Absalom Station. So what the hostess had given you was essentially a PAL deck. So I think that's what we're calling it now, right?
Mhm.
That's what it is.
A space Pokédex. And in this, what this will do is it's going to somehow, I have not exactly figured out how we're going to do this, it is going to link up with your Xenoseeker background, and when you try to identify creatures, you will be able to do so without being trained in the skill, and you will get a small bonus to make up for that. But you're going to have to do some cataloging on your own in order to do that and keep that bonus. Upon returning to the ship, Jimothy explained that he had worked out some influencer deals, as well as shipped a couple boxes of merch for Zib to the Spacewave Maiden. Zib, in addition to the new camera that you got that has the streamer kit attached to it and more easily takes clips for you to upload to your fans, you were also gifted a influencer gold card, which lets you purchase consumables at half price. Consumables including potions, grenades, ammunition, medical supplies. And then all of which is subject to me looking at it and go, no, I didn't mean that when I said that. It's careful there.
Okay.
Clara.
I'll just make sure to buy a lot the first time.
Clara, when you got back to your bunk, you found a one last gift from the hostess, which was a old tattered book printed on paper that read Meditations for Temporal Maladies. And what you'll be able to do is in your downtime, you will have access to a specific Clara-only downtime action that will let you alleviate some of the temporal headaches that you've been getting and gain a bonus to your precog skills for the next day. I haven't exactly figured that one out, but it's going to be great.
It'll be great.
It's going to be
sure
fair and balanced and fun.
The
and
FPF.
Raj, and Raj, when you got back to your chambers before Pax got back with his giant book and his tearful eyes after his goodbye with Space Devil, Shepard privately contacted you while you were in your room. His face lit up on one of the terminals in there, and he asked you for your help. Yeah. He said that somewhere in the ship there is a place, and he can't tell if the place is physical or if it's a data bank that's hidden under several layers of like fake code or like what it is. But he said there is something that is contained in the ship, so theoretically within him, or its data banks that he cannot access. He can't find it. He doesn't know what it is, and he doesn't know why it's there. So he needs somebody to help him figure out where it is and what it is and where it came from. So this is going to be a specific downtime activity that Raj is going to be able to do that is going to build a relationship with Shepard and hopefully lead to some discovery of what this thing is and to some bonus that either you are going to get or everybody is going to get, or in the same way that Clara is going to get, it'll be like a cool technomancer, like you get a +1 to the damage or something like that. That is more that is a downtime activity that you'll be able to do, which is something that we're going to try to focus more on next season.
Nice. Okay.
Speaking of next season, Dead Sundays Season 2 is officially over.
Wow.
Get fucked. Leave
That's
it in the
pretty crazy.
dust.
Yeah.
And we are moving on to Dead Sundays Enhanced, which will start on February 4th. And the reason
No
that
more
we're calling
numbers, just subtitles.
yeah, no more numbers. And it wasn't even called season 1. It was just called the first thing we did. Dead Sundays, the other one. Then there's Dead
The
Sundays.
E's and enhanced are 3s.
Oh.
Wait, hang
Yeah?
You-
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
like
no,
it.
no, yeah.
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 But no, you
I
don't
like
understand. Okay, but you don't understand because what I didn't tell you guys that I thought about the other day is that after Dead Sundays Enhanced, which is book 5, when we do Dead Sundays book 6, it's going to be called Dead Sundays Forever. But now it's going to be called Dead Sundays Forever.
Forever.
Yeah.
Are you fucking ready?
Okay.
I'll take that as a yes.
Sorry.
We have reached the Fast and Furious naming convention for the actual placing. We bring a kind of souped up Tokyo Drift car to the actual place scene that a lot of people just don't vibe with. Something, whatever. So in Dead Sundays Enhanced, there's a couple things that we're going to be doing. One of the things that we're going to be doing is Foundry does a very good job of keeping track of ammunition. So we are actually going to play with keeping track of ammunition for a couple reasons. One, because as you guys get higher in level, the action economy gets more and more specific because you all have individual things that you can do. And if you're just kind of like, I reload whenever I want, those are training wheels. We're taking those off. 2, part of Raj's character build is swapping charges between batteries. I think it's a little confusing that there are several different kinds of batteries, so I will try to do my best to put that in front of you guys so that it's very clear what kind of thing does what kind of thing. High capacity batteries have a higher capacity, obviously. Higher item level weapons use more charges.
My guns now are using like 4 or 5 charges per shot.
They take a high capacity battery so that you can still have 8 shots.
Just multiple double A's just shooting out of the thing every time.
I'm literally just firing D batteries at people now.
He doesn't even need the charge. He's just chucking a piece of aluminum at them.
I can't be involved in this reloading. Can I get like the Attack on Titan sword reloading, please, just so I can be involved?
No, you are going to suddenly become a problem from everybody. One of the things that we're also going to pay more attention to is cover, concealment, and all those things that we kind of just go, yeah. And the reason that we're going to pay attention to that is because Clara, your scope has a laser beam on it that will reduce the cover that people get from reduce the AC bonus that people get from cover. And I think that you can't fully appreciate that unless you're able to actually use it. And also, you guys are 3 ranged characters with 1 melee friend. So it's getting to the point where like, hey, you got it. You got to figure it out. Like, you got to position yourself. You got to do it. Even though Horatio has been getting all up in people's grill lately, which I appreciate.
Oh, we forgot about the time that Horatio became a flamethrower.
Oh yeah! Horatio
Rewind.
summoned an astral flamethrower back in the House of Renewal.
Slapped his hands together, and then like flamethrower just builds on his hand.
He Green Lantern.
Like, is this anything, guys? Is this good? Is this cool? All right. By
Yeah,
the way,
great.
I can do this.
Point it-
do this, and I
point
never
it the
told
other
you
way,
guys
though.
I can do this.
Personal quests, we talk about that. Narrative spaceship combat. Starfinder Enhanced has rules for narrative only spaceship combat. It is much faster. I think if there is more space battles in these last 2 books that we're only going to do a narrative side of it, it is a little bit more. It's obviously faster. It's really interesting how they've taken all of the. It doesn't lose anything. It only loses the minutia of like of all the small bonuses. When they redid it into narrative combat, they did a really good job of having everybody still have the same options, but they're just weighted differently, and how the flow of combat goes. It's really good, and once we get into it, it's gonna make Starship Combat so much better and faster, because even though people who watch Starfinder actual play know that Starfinder is a crunchy game and there's a lot of numbers, it is still a show. So I would like to have a narrative performance of Starship Combat to make it sound really cool. It's going to be great. If I just keep saying it's going to be great, it'll actually be great.
It has been great, and it's going to be great.
Mhm.
It's going to be even greater. So I told you about your personal quests, and the last thing is the non-liquid upgrades that you guys are going to get. There is a possibility and a probability that you guys are going to gain credits from Chiskisk from the Starfinder Society for a job well done, right? However,
I was going to say we haven't checked in with them in a minute.
right.
So.
That is, believe it or not, I thought of that, and that's going to be one of the first things we do next week. Unfortunately, you're going to an uncontacted, non-affiliated Drift Beacon affiliated place. Like where you're going is not going to have a vending machine that takes credits. You know what I mean? Like, so you're going to have all these credits and not really a great way to spend them, which means that as you continue, you're going to fight things that are going to drop credits, or at least drop items that you would want to sell for credits. But then you're still not going to have any place to actually spend them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite a lot of the encounters and rewards to specifically give you guys either upgrade kits for your scaling weapons or specific upgrades for specific characters. And I will say, like, oh, you guys find this thing. It is equipable by Zib Beverage only because they're using a level 4 weapon and they need a new one. Stuff like that. And that way, we won't have to worry about the scaling of the Starfinder numbers, which is assuming that you're trading out your equipment every other level. And we're also going to be I'm sorry, I told you that the upgrade kits for the scaling armor and weapons, so that you guys can rebuild some of your it's soulbound. Mm-hmm. It's bind on pickup.
Right.
If it's a
So,
countdown.
side note, I've been trying to give Dead Island 2. There's a point to this. Dead Island 2 like a fair shake.
Thanks
once
for
again.
up front.
And there's a cool thing they can do. It kind of breaks the game, where when you level up, you can take your, because they have like weapon durability like Zelda, but if it's expensive, but if there's like a weapon you really like, you can bring it to a workbench and then spend money and materials to bring it up to your character's current level.
Right.
But it cosmetically like changes the thing as you like it's like your character's bolting more shit onto a baseball bat. Yeah. Because you broke it, so now you're putting more like braces and stuff onto it. And I was like, that's a really neat cosmetic thing, because it's like this shitty bat I've had since I was level 1, but I could totally get like a level 30 bat, but I could just make my level 1 bat a level 30 bat, and it just has like character on it because it has like a stop sign that's like bolted around it and wrapped around it that's keeping it together, you know. So, and I'm like, that's a pretty neat thing.
So in that vein, one thing I think is interesting about the enhanced scaling rules is that if you were to take your level 1 item and make it a level 30 item, it would be slightly weaker, like in pure
that's what this game
damage
does.
numbers. Yeah. Because like, you know, it makes sense. But also, when you use scaling equipment, they also get build points and perks that you can't get from just regular weapons. So the trade-off is that like you get the reliable thing, which lets you re-roll ones or whatever, but you're going to do slightly less damage all the time than if you got a mass-marketed, very sharp dagger or whatever.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
So that's all the things I wanted to talk about today. Is there anything that you guys want to talk about?
You're doing a fantastic job, and I really appreciate all the hard work and effort you put into crafting this story.
Thanks, man.
I appreciate it too. At what point is Jin gonna try and kill us? Could you tell that? So it's now.
At what point am I going to get to kill Jin?
Yeah.
Very great question. Excellent follow-up question. The answer is, I don't know, but it's not. It's not no.
It's
Like,
not off the table.
I'm not gonna set that up to have her
Is it gonna
never
be
come back.
Is it going to be season 5? Because you can put a 5 in Dear Seer, and like that could be the subtitle.
Yeah, could work.
Dead Sundays 5 ever. I mean, not to play my whole hand, but Dead Sundays 5 ever will more than likely be Starfinder 2, depending on when it releases. Maybe. Because we've got another 14 months of Dead Suns. That's just the way it plays out. I've managed to get us all on a pretty predictable recording schedule. So I think by the time we're done with Dead Suns, it will be time to move to Starfinder 2, and then all of the subscribers that we have accrued in the last 3 years will be like, oh damn, I gotta learn how to play Starfinder 2. Where am I gonna go? And we're gonna be like, Dead Sundays 5 ever, idiot. And they're gonna be like, that doesn't make any sense. And we're like, don't worry about it. 3 action economy, suck my dick. And
so they're straight up moving to the Pathfinder 2 thing with reaction economy?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually a great question. I haven't read any of it. That's what I've assumed, because it's all built on it's all built on the Pathfinder 2 framework. So while there is going to be some, they're going to have to accommodate some things, I am almost 100% positive that it is the 3 action economy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would you use it?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if you haven't played a D20 game with a 3 action economy as opposed to like the D&D thing, so cool. Like it just opens up so much more option. Like you don't feel like you're wasting a turn when you have 3 actions.
Right, you can always do something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I really like how spells and spell-like abilities are done with a 3 action economy too, because like you have like mini rituals kind of now too. It's like, oh yeah, this would take 2 of my 3 things because I have to concentrate and then do like karate hands to make a spell happen.
Yeah,
like,
karate
that makes
hands.
Perfect sense.
The classic
Naruto.
the classic wizard school of karate hands. Yeah,
The
you got
jutsu.
it. Yeah.
The jutsus.
Yeah, you better not use those words in my house. I won't sign that.
No
to me.
son of mine is gonna do no sexy jutsu.
You don't run like Naruto, you run like a man. All right, so if anybody else wants to add anything to our season 2 recap, to our book 4 recap, now's the time. I think we got it all though. And I think
we got it all.
I think we got it all. And you know what? We got it in one. We always get it in one because we are, that's the only chance we have. There is no, we don't have a lore officer to make Matt Mercer back up and say, hey, well, you guys actually said this before, But we're working on it. We're expanding our backstage development production team next year to include one more person. It's going to be me. Twig's coming on full time. He is real good at he's really just a production manager. If I've been sitting here too long, he will bite me, and I'm like, you're right, I should work faster. You're right, thank you production manager. So I think that's gonna be it. We good?
Yeah, man.
All right.
Yeah.
So we are going to start Dead Sundays Enhanced next Sunday at 7:00. We will do the smallest of recaps in the beginning because we just did a huge one right now. And then every session that we post will not be edited anymore. It'll just be the 2.5, 3 hour play session because I don't like that anymore. I think that cutting them in the middle really screws up how we play. It doesn't capture like the whole session because a whole session is one thing. We're all in that mood that day, and when you cut it in half, it makes it it goes from being a session to being episodic, and it doesn't have the right feel. So we're not going to do that anymore because I don't want to. I think that's it. We're at a question. If you want to follow us on Twitter, it might not be there tomorrow, but I've been saying that for years now, so maybe it will be. You can follow us on Twitter. If you want to check out our YouTube channel, if you're watching us on YouTube, hi. If you're not watching us on YouTube, you can check out our old, I don't want to say old episodes, but our previously uploaded episodes. They encompass the first 4 books of the Dead Sun's adventure path. You can check out my Starfinder Infinite creations. I am a nope, that says finite. My Starfinder finite creations. I have written a couple Starfinder Infinite things, modules to expand your game. You can find them at Starfinder Infinite. That is my creator page with a list of all the things I've made. And now is the time to say goodbye. So, Paizo, thank you for making Starfinder and Pathfinder. Viewers, thank you for viewing. Players, thank you for playing. And now is the time where all of us are going to look at the camera and wave and say goodbye. If everybody could look at the camera and wave and say goodbye. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, let's see. Credits. Zib Beverage was played by Steph. Clara247 was played by Beck. Horatio Raj Cruz was played by Ian. Pax Duro was played by Ryan. And I played everybody else. This is a list of all the programs that I use to make this show. Please check them out. Please subscribe to their Patreons. Please use them and tell your friends about them. Please get good at them. Please unseat Adobe as the king of the creative suite and expand your knowledge of other things that can do things. And I don't think I have anything else to say. So would you please enjoy this real commercial for a fake restaurant?
When you're coming from the black, you want a place that reminds you of home. You want traditional foods like our Eoxians cadaver digits, fresh fried every cycle, or tacos made the Spathany way, flavored with real asteroid sauce. With quality finding up with a syndicate, but at prices any corporate collar can afford. So after you dock, head over to the Eye. We're open all cycle, every cycle. Ready to treat you like family, hive mind, or brood clutch. Spacies, you're gonna like the food you eat from the restaurant that I own.